Hello, I'm glad to see you in the VNA News Bulletin. I'm Ngọc from Hanoi and now the headlines as usual.
Lao National Assembly Vice Chairman Son Phan Phan visits Vietnam. Torrential winds leave 7 dead and 1 missing in northern provinces. Olympic star Hoàng Xuân Vinh receives heroes' welcome home.
State President Trần Đại Quang hosted a reception in Hanoi on August 15th for Vice Chairman of the Lao National Assembly, Son Phan Phan, who is on a working visit to Vietnam.
President Quang expressed his delight at the cooperation outcomes in the fields between Vietnam and Laos, to which the two legislatures have made positive contributions. While applauding the results of the earlier talks between the two delegations, the state leader affirmed his support and suggested the legislative bodies work together to successfully organize major events in the coming time. He also urged the two legislatures to continue supervising and accelerating the implementation of cooperation deals and high-level agreements signed between Vietnam and Laos. Vice Chairman Phan said the Lao National Assembly will try its best to jointly organize celebrations for the 55th founding anniversary of diplomatic ties and 40 years of the signing of the Amity and Cooperation Treaty between the two nations. He said one of the visit's targets is to study the organizational structure and activities of Provincial People's Council with fact-finding trips to Central Thanh Hóa and Nghệ An provinces. Earlier, National Assembly Chairwoman Nguyễn Thị Kim Ngân received Vice Chairman of the Lao National Assembly Son Phan Phan. Ngân affirmed that the Vietnamese Party, state and people will give the highest priority to cementing and enhancing the traditional friendship, special solidarity and comprehensive cooperation with Laos. She said Laos is performing well as chair of ASEAN 2016, which will help the country increase its position in the international arena. The legislator expressed her belief that the Lao National Assembly will continue making significant contributions to the implementation of the resolution adopted at the 10th Party Congress and the 8th Five-Year Socio-Economic Development Plan. Phan expected that the legislatures of Vietnam and Laos would increase cooperation and experience exchanges in order to make the ties on par with those between the two countries' parties, states and people. He said the Lao National Assembly wants to coordinate with Vietnam in organizing workshops, sharing experience in public debt management and supervision.
During the talks with his Vietnamese counterpart Uông Chu Lưu on August 15th, Vice Chairman Phan said Laos wishes to learn about the organizational structure and activities of the Vietnamese National Assembly's Committee for Deputy Affairs and People's Councils, especially those at provincial level. He affirmed that Laos will work closely with Vietnam in organizing events to celebrate the 55th founding anniversary of diplomatic ties and 40 years of the signing of the Amity and Cooperation Treaty between two nations. Vice Chairman Liu spoke highly of Laos' recent legislative achievements, including the ratification of the revised constitution, saying that these contribute to reinforcing the country's legal system and laying foundation for Laos to realize its socio-economic development goals. He hoped that the ongoing visit will further strengthen the special solidarity, comprehensive cooperation between Vietnam and Laos. Also on August 15th, Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc held a working session with key officials of Nghệ An province, working on its implementation of a Politburo resolution on the development orientations and tasks until 2020 and the local socio-economic situation in the first 7 months of this year.
After 3 years of performing the resolution, Nghệ An's economic structure has seen positive changes. The contribution to the province's GDP by the industry and construction sectors increased from 29.2% in 2013 to 31.69% in 2016, while the proportion by agroforestry fishery sectors decreased from 28.68% to 26.46%. The service sector has made the highest contribution to the provincial GDP at 41.86%. Per capita income reached 31 million Vietnam dong per year, 1.4 times higher than the figure 3 years ago. Nghệ An is one of the leading provinces in the number of communes achieving criteria for new style rural areas, with 114 communes fulfilling all 19 criteria. However, the province is still facing a range of difficulties, including the lack of highly skilled workers and farming land for large-scale agricultural projects. At the session, Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc and leaders of ministries and agencies cleared up queries raised by investors and businesses operating in Nghệ An province. Earlier, the government leader paid a fact-finding trip to Nam Giang Commune, Nam Dan District. He also inspected the construction progress of the Vietnam-Singapore Industrial Park and the Visay Seaport invested by Sông Lam Cement Joint Stock Company.
The second session of the 14th National Assembly Standing Committee opened at the Parliament's headquarters in Hanoi on August 15th. During the session, a draft law on the guard force was discussed for the first time.
Opening the event, National Assembly Chairwoman Nguyễn Thị Kim Ngân said, during the 3-day session, the National Assembly Standing Committee will also make an initial assessment of the 14th Legislature's first session in July and talk about arrangements for the second session. It will also examine two draft laws on the guard force and communal police, which will be appraised at the National Assembly's second session. The committee will also discuss the government's proposals on the adjustment to the 2016 Foreign Capital Plan. The deputies said an ordinance on the guard force was issued in 2005, providing an important legal foundation for the force to fulfill its assigned tasks, helping to protect the party, the state, national security, and social order and safety. They stressed the need to upgrade the ordinance on the guard force to a law to concretize relevant articles in the 2013 Constitution, adding that the law will facilitate the force's security safeguarding activities and ensure human rights and citizens' rights as stipulated in the Constitution. As this was the first time the draft law came under consideration, the drafting board was requested to continue working with relating agencies to absorb the opinions to prepare for further discussion in the future.
At least 7 people died, 1 is missing, and 4 were injured after torrential rains swept through the northern and north-central regions over the past few days. The Central Steering Committee on National Disaster Prevention and Control said the downpour, triggered by an intertropical convergence zone, reached 200 to 400 millimeters in some areas. The deaths were reported in the northern provinces of Bắc Cạn, Điện Biên, and Lào Cai, and the central provinces of Thanh Hóa and Hà Tĩnh. Local authorities of the flood-hit localities mobilized available forces to help people in affected areas. The National Center for Hydrometeorological Forecasting said the downpours continue in the northern and north-central regions in the next few days, with rainfall ranging between 70 to 200 millimeters. The center warned of flooding in major cities and urban areas in Hanoi, Haiphong, and Quảng Ninh, among others. Flash flood and landslide are forecast in the northern mountainous and north-central regions, including Cao Bằng, Bắc Cạn, and Lạng Sơn. The loan-to-deposit ratio of 8 state-owned commercial banks has improved significantly in recent months, making the industry more optimistic about keeping it at a maximum of 90%. According to the latest statistics from the State Bank of Vietnam, the loan-to-deposit ratio of these banks at the end of June had dropped to 93.93%, the lowest level of the past 10 months. Experts said the fall was significant as the ratio had remained high, at 99.11% earlier this year. For many years, the loan-to-deposit ratio of the banks had remained high, even reaching 110.01% in December 2011, causing high risk for these banks. While restructuring the banking industry in the 2011 to 2015, the central bank targeted reducing the loan-to-deposit ratio of state-owned commercial banks to a maximum of 90%. However, it failed to meet this target. According to experts, the improvement of the ratio in the first half of this year was contributable to good liquidity and a good balance between deposits and credit in the affected banks. BIDV, for example, reported that its deposits grew 13% in the first half of the year, while credit rose by only 8.3%. The deposit and credit ratios at Vietinbank were 9.6% and 7.7% respectively. Vietnam has 7 state-owned commercial banks, namely BIDV, Vietinbank, Vietcombank, and Agribank, as well as Construction Bank, GP Bank, and Ocean Bank. Many people gave Hoàng Xuân Vinh a hero's welcome upon his return to Hanoi after his Rio Olympics victory.
Crowds arrived at Nội Bài International Airport early in the evening on August 14 to wait for the Olympic shooter, hours before his flight landed at around 10 p.m. He was also greeted by cheering fans who were arriving or departing at the airport. I tried my best at the Olympics, but the result still fell short of my expectation. I cannot tell what I feel when firing the last shot, but to me it was a shot of destiny. Last week, Vinh, a military officer, earned 1 gold and 1 silver medal and set a record at the ongoing Rio Games. The 41-year-old shooter triumphed in the men's 10-meter air pistol with a record of 202.5 points and came in second in the 50-meter pistol. Vinh ended Vietnam's 6-decade wait for its first Olympic gold medal. He's also the nation's first athlete to win 2 medals and the first to hold a record at an Olympics. This year has seen the best results ever for Vietnam sports at an Olympics.
Vietnamese cuisine and agricultural products are showcased at the 17th ASEAN Food Festival in Macau, China. We went along to take a look.
This is the second time Vietnamese products have been displayed at the annual event, which features food and culture from Southeast Asian nations. Addressing the event, a representative from the Macau Government Tourism Office said ASEAN food and culture have helped promote the city's tourism. The festival is expected to boost solidarity among ASEAN people, developing a prosperous ASEAN community, as well as promoting connectivity between ASEAN and Macau, the representative said. ASEAN food has increased understanding of regional culture among Macau residents. There are many Vietnamese restaurants in the city.
More streets in Hanoi will be shut to traffic at weekends, so pedestrians can enjoy Hoàn Kiếm Lake from October. This was announced at a recent meeting of the Municipal People's Committee. The streets, which run around Hoàn Kiếm Lake, will be closed to traffic from 19 to 2 a.m. in summer and 18 to 2 a.m. in winter from Friday to Sunday and on some holidays. The inauguration ceremony is set to be held on October 7th as part of activities to mark the 62nd anniversary of the capital's Liberation Day. The piloted period will run until the Lunar New Year holiday 2017. The first pedestrian streets in Hanoi, including Hàng Ngang, Hàng Đào, Hàng Đường, and Đông Xuân in the Old Quarter, were inaugurated in 2004, where visitors could walk, shop, and sample street foods. In 2014, 6 more walking streets were launched, also in the Old Quarter. And that's wrap up our news bulletin. Thanks for watching and see you next time.